welcome back to Books with Carol Ann. I thought it would be fun to do an author spotlight on Ali Hazelwood. I've just finished reading Pan by Ali Hazelwood, and I thought it would be fun to do an author spotlight to go through her books, all the ones that I've read anyway, which is all of them except Check and Mate, her YA romance, which is on my TBR and I will read at some point. Ali Hazelwood started with The Love Hypothesis in 2021. It was self-published for about 5 minutes and then picked up, and she's been traditionally published ever since. So The Love Hypothesis, I'm sure you've seen this book everywhere. I love this book. I've read it twice. Signed by the author. In The Love Hypothesis, Olive kisses her professor. Well, he's not actually her professor. She kisses a professor in order to prove to her best friend that she is not a single, lonely, no-life PhD student. She has a life. She's dating a professor. What do you mean? So she kisses Dr. Carlson, Adam, and from there, they basically have to enter this fake dating arrangement, which, is a bit frowned upon because he is a professor. They're not directly linked in the school, but still, they're in the same field. Not great. I love a fake dating agreement because there's always this moment where for at least one of them, it becomes not fake much sooner than the other. In this case, there is a prologue that absolutely, I was hooked from the prologue because the prologue shows that Dr. Adam Carlson met and remembered Olive Smith from way back before she became a PhD grad student, and you get to see what he thought of her. All of Ali's books are in single point of view. I saw a post the other day that was saying that the reason Ali Hazelwood doesn't give POVs to her male main character is probably because all we would see is I love her. Was that a good impression of a whimpering man? I hope so. The Love Hypothesis. It's still one of my favorite romance books. I know it's corny, but I love it. I love it, okay? If it works, why change it? Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood is basically the same thing, but in different fonts. Except they don't like each other. Grr. Except he's in love with her the whole time. Spoiler, sorry. This is not my favorite Ali Hazelwood. I feel like I need to read it again because so many people love it, and I feel like maybe I was expecting something different and I shouldn't have. And I feel like now that I know Ali Hazelwood and I know her writing and I know that kind what to look out for, I feel like maybe I would enjoy it more. Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. The Loathe to Love You novellas. So these are 3 novellas released by Ali Hazelwood. They are very short and I believe I read them in audio. Kind of the same as Love on the Brain. I was very much, expecting something different. But again, if something is working, why would you change it? And it was working for her. So you've got Under One Roof, Stuck With You, and Below Zero. I do remember from reading them that I think Under One Roof was my favorite out of the 3. I'm gonna have to reread them, aren't I? I believe it was pretty much 3 stories. They're 3 friends and you kind of see them fall in love at different stages. They're all very much in the STEM arena, just like all of Ali's books. I thought they were fine. I thought they were just 2.5, 3 stars. They're very standard, novella. It goes straight to the point. They're steamy, they're spicy, they're 2 nerds falling in love. If that's what you're looking for, then it's perfect and it's well done because it's Ali. Love Theoretically is the third book, the third full novel by Ali. And at this point, I was a bit skeptical about reading more Ali because I just didn't want it to be more of the same. But she proved me wrong. Well, sort of. It is more of the same, but also it isn't. I feel like at this one, I started to see the growth in Ali's writing and in her plot. I think she started going more in depth with her characters and with the storylines. This made me, almost interested in theoretical science. It didn't. But I thought this book was amazing. It shot up to one of my favorites, Ali books for sure. Love Hypothesis at this point was still my favorite, but this was a strong second, definitely. In this book, Elsie is a theoretical physicist by day and a fake girlfriend for hire by night. She gets hired by this guy's brother, who's actually her favorite client because they've done it so many times before. But she doesn't understand why Jack Smith, this dude, just is always very unhappy around her. And the reason why, no, I can't tell you that. That's a spoiler. But basically, you can find out why this grumpy experimental physicist is always mean to the cute little girlfriend of his brother. But I thought that this book was really cool. I'm really not explaining it right. But you're not here to see me read a blurb, so get on with it. I love this book. It made me feel lots of feelings. Bride, a bit different from what we're used to from Ali. This is a vampire werewolf romantasy between Misery and Lo. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Lo is a werewolf, Misery is a vampire, and this is a marriage of convenience in order to reunite the werewolf and the vampire gangs so that they stop destroying the world, basically. You know what I mean. So I thought I was kind of scared to read this because, I think that writing contemporary and writing fantasy are two very different things. But actually, I've had a few of my favorite contemporary authors get into the romantasy space, and they've done it so well. And I think that is because in romantasy specifically, the romance is so important, and so at least that's done well. And for the few that I have read who have gone into the fantasy genre, they've kept the world quite, I wouldn't say simple, but more contemporary looking than making up a whole different high fantasy world. So that may be why. But that said, Bride is absolutely excellent and everyone should read it. Ali Hazelwood introduced the traditionally published world to Notting, which I will not explain in this video, but please know, because I had this conversation with a colleague this week, this does not involve non-human parts going into other human parts. Both characters are fully human whenever things happen. Okay. It's left quite open at the end of the book that there might be a sequel. And I believe that Ali herself has now confirmed that there is a Bride 2 coming. So I am expecting an announcement on that in the next few weeks since the latest book just came out. But yeah, you should definitely read that. Not in Love. Not in Love is the book that came out last summer by Ali. It is honestly a favorite. I know I keep saying that, but Ali just keeps raising the bar for me. In this book, which actually, In this book, Not in Love, there is an author note from Ali basically explaining that this is not her usual contemporary romance, but that she thought it was more into the erotic romance genre, and there are some other trigger warnings that she mentions in here, like food insecurity and child neglect. But she thinks that basically she explains that this book has a different relationship to sex than her usual books do. So I think this was the first of definitely a different chapter in Ali's writing again. Um, just Not in Love was just a story of two people who really needed each other and found each other. And I absolutely adore this story. Also, this cover is just absolutely gorgeous. The colors on this, I love it. I just realized that in 2024 we had four different books by Ali Hazelwood. So obviously we had Bride coming in early, then we had Not in Love in summer, then we had Two Can Play, an audio novella exclusive to Spotify, where it was very cute. I really enjoyed reading it. It's about two gaming professionals, gaming designers, I believe they are, who are from two competitor companies, except they have to work together on a project because that's what the client wants. And in order to do a bit of an icebreaker between the teams and get them to work together, they go and honestly, I hope they're hiring because I really want this. But basically, they're sent on an all expense trip paid to a chalet, ski chalet in the mountains, and basically the the big huge main character, who has always hated the female main character, actually has always had a crush on her. I just eat it up. It's a formula. It's definitely an Ali Hazelwood formula, trademark. But I just, it works. It works, and it has me in my feels every single time. Was Cruel Winter with You, which was included in a series of Amazon novellas that came out for Christmas last year. And honestly, out of all the novellas that were in that series, Cruel Winter with You was my favorite. Um, and I wish that it was a full length novel because the things that Ali has made me feel in those however many pages it um, was amazing. And I wish I had more time with them. I might read it again just for comfort. It was a very cute book. Basically, they had been neighbors their entire life. Something happened, and they stopped talking, but she has to go to his place because she needs to get something for her dad, who's trying to make Christmas dinner. Except that as soon as she gets to his house, there's a full winter storm that stops her from being able to go back home. So she's stuck with him. Oh no, what are they gonna do? Ugh, honestly. Last but not least, Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. This has just come out and I have just finished it. I also got the Works edition with the nice end papers. And this has started some controversy online. But I will say that I absolutely adored it. It has shot up to be one of my favorites, Ali Hazelwood, if not the favorite. You can definitely see the growth in her writing, in the depth of her characters, and I just ate this up. This was incredible. The controversy was basically through the amount of spice that was included in this book. The two main characters get into a relationship because they get together because they discover through Lucas's ex-girlfriend that they both endure the kinkier side of things and a little bit of BDSM. And that's not what the ex-girlfriend likes, so she says in a drunken stumper that they should probably get together. and you kind of see the relationship evolve between that, and at first with the will they won't they, and then making sure that there is very much agreed consent, and agreement as to where each of their limits are. And I think a lot of people, despite an author's note at the start and the original titled being wet, a lot of people weren't very happy that this had a lot more spice scenes, sex scenes, than the other Ali Hazelwood books. I would say it's a new adult romance of two young people. They are 21 and 22, I believe, who have never been with someone who has the same sexual interests as them, and they're basically learning and seeing that this is that you can find someone who does have the same interests and who aligns with you in every single way. And I think it was really nicely done and a lovely way to showcase a safe consensual romance where both parties are interested in that prior to getting together, and a very safe way of doing it and going about it. I thought it was really well done. And yeah, I don't necessarily understand where all the controversy comes from. There's probably one scene that made me a bit uncomfortable, but I think it was still very much relevant to the plot and to the growth of the characters, and it worked well for them. I just think that overall, Ali did a great job with this book. I was Googling swimmers halfway through. I also Googled a few of the dives to see what the big issue was. I think it was really interesting how we also see Scarlett, the main character, deal with the backlash after an injury and having to get back to the top of her game, mentally and physically. Actually, the physically we don't see, because physically she's fine at the start of this book, but mentally she is not there. So we see her with her therapist and really dealing with that and understanding what will make her grow and get her better. I think there's so many important subjects done in this book, and it's still at the end of the day a very cute romance. And I won't try and denigrate everything it does by just saying it's a cute romance, but what I mean is that it's not a heavy read, but it still manages to include so many different subjects that are important and that a lot of people are going through. So I really recommend this, and I think a lot of people will love it. This was my little spotlight on Ali Hazelwood. And like I said, I haven't read Check and Mate, her YA romance yet, but I definitely will. I want to. Ali just writes yearning so well. I just think that in YA, the yearning is always done to such lengths that it just makes me feel all the feels, and I can't wait to read it. Somehow it's still on my TBR. I'm not sure why, but I will get to it at some point. But here are all the adult romances that I own. Let's try and rank them. This is how I would rank them. In last place, drumroll please, we've got Love on the Brain. You did great. I was expecting you to be better. Then, which is weird because I love this book, but Love Theoretically would come second to last. Then, literally one of my favorite books, but The Love Hypothesis, third from the bottom. Next up, we've got Not in Love. I love this book, and I absolutely had so much fun reading it. Then we would have Bride. I'm so excited to get the sequel of this at some point, hopefully, please. I would happily reread this as well, anytime. And then I'm probably biased because I just finished it last night, so it's really fresh on my mind, and I love these characters so much. But Deep End, definitely at the top of the list now. this would be my ranking of the full-length adult novels of Ali Hazelwood. What would be your ranking? Have you read any of these? Let me know in the comments. And subscribe for more videos.